Hey guys, it's Brittany. Another Monday message for you, trying to help you start your week strong. And so I'm going to dive right in, talk about the human side of why I wrote and kind of reflected what I did, and then what I feel like God led me to feel and write and know from this. And I just want to share that with you. So the human side of this is, have you ever been in a situation, or maybe right now you are, or just being human, we face this all the time, where you see a lot of the bad in the world. You see a lot of the challenges. You see maybe a lot of the wrong that's going on. You see how people are being hurt. If you watch the news, you probably get just enough of this in one setting to go for a week on, right? So many of us, I think the media and the world is almost conditioning us to focus on what we can't do about something, or how big a problem is, or how many factors are going into this situation. How could I ever pick one and pursue a solution or help within it? And that is a challenge we're having in this day and time, and it's very distracting. And I wanted to just bring up a Bible verse that actually touches on that. And so this is thousands of years ago, and Elijah in the Bible was dealing with the same thing. And despite being a firm believer in God and strong in his faith, he wavered just like any single one of us would. And he had doubts and he had frustrations, and he came to God and brought them to him and said, hey, God, why aren't you doing anything about this? How is this still going on? And so I just wanted to share a little bit of my reflection on that, if you felt that way, or because I know I have. So the verse is in Romans chapter 11, verse 4. And it says, how did God answer him? That's how it starts, meaning how did God answer Elijah? Elijah had essentially been complaining to God, saying, look, God, there's these Israelites, they're worshiping idols, they're doing these things. It makes no sense to me. I've tried so hard to help them keep the faith, stay on track, stay focused, and yet they're doing all of this that is not what they're called to do. And so God's answer to him when he said this was, I have kept 7,000 people for myself. They have not bowed down to Baal. Okay, so Baal is essentially an idol. It's in this short version of the story I'm telling, Baal is an idol that they're worshiping. It's something that has basically taken the place of God in their life. And so God says, I've kept 7,000 for myself, and they're the ones that haven't bowed down to Baal. And so this is what I wrote about that. Elijah was rightfully frustrated about how many of the Israelites were building idols, tearing down places of worship, and trying to kill him. Yes, they were trying to kill him. So when he looked out, he saw all the wrong and was disgusted by it, which I would be, you would be, we probably are a lot of the times. He complained to God about it. And rather than agreeing and focusing on the corruption that Elijah was talking about, God turned Elijah's attention to the 7,000 Israelites who were doing right and not following the rest of the crowd. So this is not to say that God was turning a blind eye to the corruption and the sin that Elijah was complaining about and bringing to his attention, as if God didn't see it already, right? But he was focusing his eyes, Elijah's eyes, on those who were doing just as much good as those who were doing wrong. He was trying to get Elijah to see the good that was going on just as much as what was happening in conflict. And so I think this is something that should encourage and remind us to have the courage and the wisdom to see both the light and the darkness that is going on around us, to not focus on how much we have to overcome or to dwell on other people's flaws or mistakes or wrongdoings, but to keep in sight the good that also exists and that is just as equally powerful, if not more. So we should not be swayed by the wrongdoing that we see going on left and right in this world, but we should allow it to point us towards the right path and to believe God is standing right with us in the middle of it all. So often it's easy, the devil is really good at tricking us to think it's not worth fighting for the good. There's so much wrong. This world is just going to hell in a handbasket. Let's just be frank. But that's not the case. God is always in control. God is always sovereign. There is a reason for everything. And just like the bad that Elijah brought to God's attention, God looked at him and said, hey, Elijah, I hear you. I see you. And don't think I don't hold those individuals accountable. But also look at those 7,000 people that are doing good, that are doing right, that are worshiping me, that have been practicing the faith that you profess as well. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because I know that I struggle with that too. yes, we have to acknowledge what we're up against. We have to acknowledge the bad. Otherwise, how would we confront it? But we also can equally acknowledge the good, right? And we can. There is good going on, and it's not always highlighted. So just like Elijah, be aware of, yes, the inequalities, the injustices, the idol worshiping, whatever that means, but also be confident that there is good and that God sees that, and God wants us to magnify that as well in our own lives. So that's my message for today. Hope you have an awesome week and take care of yourselves.